escapee Richard Matt reportedly wrote to his daughter just before he broke out of prison, says quite a lot in hindsight. He wrote, quote, "I always promised you I would see you on the outside. I am a man of my word." Well, what we do know is that his daughter reported that to authorities and that she says she knew nothing. And as we know, he has not seen his daughter since then. Police shot and killed Matt and later captured his fellow fugitive, David Sweat. But there are questions about why prison officials didn't see that letter before Matt mailed it, and if they could have seen it, would it have made a difference? Well, we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more with Robin Miller. She is a former New York City corrections officer from Rikers Island. She just penned a book titled Sex, Drugs, Thugs, The Untold Truth Behind New York Jail Corruption. It comes out in September. Thank you for being with me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Let's talk about this because you've said you're not shocked at all by what happened at Clinton Correctional in Dannemora. You actually say the inmates, quote, "analyze us all day and know who is vulnerable." How did you experience that?
You have to understand something. Inmates have nothing else to do but watch us. They study us. They know they listen to us. They listen to us talk about each other. They listen to the CAP setup. Day in and day out, they watch, they observe, and they plan. An inmate is always planning their escape. The conditions in the jail are so bad that they want to get out. So on a daily basis, they're constantly planning how they're going to break out.
What we have learned is that the New York State prison policy is that they don't read outgoing inmates' mail unless a superintendent deems that that person is a risk. So now we know, according to the Buffalo News, that Richard Matt sent this letter to his daughter days before he escaped saying, "I'll see you on the outside. I always said that I would." Do you think that's a policy that needs to change, or is that something you would expect to hear from sort of someone who's desperate?
That's false. They read all the outgoing mail.
That's not, our Gene Casares reported with us yesterday, that is not the policy right now, within the New York State prison system. They don't read all the outgoing mail.
They didn't read Matt's outgoing mail because he was in the honor block. But I know personally, because my nephew's incarcerated, and they read all his outgoing mail.
So you wonder how someone got into the honor block who had killed 2 people and escaped from prison before. What does that say about the system?
Well, the system is broken. The system needs to be fixed.
Let's talk about some of your experiences. You have said that in your 20 years in this system, working in this system, your colleagues were tougher to deal with than the inmates, that there is a thin line between inmate and officer. What do you mean? Why was it tougher with your peers?
Well, when it came to the inmates would listen to me. As long as you respect them and you demand respect and you do your job, they'll do whatever you ask them to do. My colleagues, on the other hand, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. It's care, custody, and control. That's what we were hired for. And the thing that I've been thinking about a lot is that you say to yourself, what is a correction officer? We're hired in our 20s. We're still kids ourselves. So you're giving us a badge, you're giving us a gun, and you're giving us a bunch of people to watch, grown folks to basically babysit. And we just coming out of high school, so they're coming in, and to me, it's a high school setting. And what I experienced is, as soon as a female officer comes to a jail, especially a male jail, the male officers try to hit on them. They want to date them. Everybody's like they're fresh meat. When they can't have their way, they get an attitude, and then they basically blacklist you in the jail. And then they get the females to stop talking to you. And then it becomes a big part of isolation. So I had to deal with coming to work every day, dealing with a bunch of coworkers, with the gossip. It's just like any other job.
See, we don't want to generalize, right, this whole industry, right? Because
no,
a lot of
it's
people
not
doing hard
everybody.
work.
Yeah.
Not everyone. Final question before I let you go. How do you change things then, Robin? You had so much time in the system. You're writing a book about it now. How do things change?
It has to start with the administration. It has to start with the academy. They have to stop telling these people in the academy that the inmates are the enemy. They have to start there. They have to have the bosses do their jobs. The officers are not doing their jobs. They're not care, custody, and control. They're not watching these prisoners. They're more concerned with the co-workers instead of doing their job. And Albany has to get involved, and the mayor has to get involved. When the complaints start coming in, they have to act. I cover all of that and the solutions. I have solutions to exactly how do we fix this broken system to make it work, because what's going to happen is you're going to have more escapes, and you're going to have officers getting killed in the line of duty behind us.
And
yes.
You've said if you give them, the inmates, an inch, they will take a mile. They will take you for whatever
yes.
you've got. Thank you, Robin Miller. A fascinating book coming out in September.
And they can go to robinkmiller.com and pre-order the book. It's coming out in September.
Thank you very much for being with us. Nice to meet you. I appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Do you think Donald Trump's comments on Mexicans have hurt the Republican Party?
Yes, I think he made a severe error in saying what he did about Mexican Americans, and feel it was unfortunate.
Do you think the candidates should speak up about that and condemn him?
I think a number of them have.
How has this sort of stirred the pot in the 4th of July campaigning with the party's last nominee now weighing in on Trump and on the race?
Well, look, Mitt Romney deciding to wade into this controversy is important because a lot of the 2016 Republican candidates consider Romney an important
Pickett's charge, the all-out Confederate assault on the Union line. The daring of Robert E. Lee met the will of Abraham Lincoln and the courage of Alonzo Cushing.
He's standing right in this area.
Manning these guns?
We're actually leaning on one right now.
For an hour and a half, Confederate artillery bombarded the Union line.
During that barrage, Cushing's battery gets pounded as badly as anybody does on this line. It looks like a slaughterhouse.
What about Cushing?
He receives a severe wound in his shoulder and a wound in his groin. Cushing started vomiting. He was in such intense pain.
His commanders told him to fall back. Instead, he did the opposite.
He pushed his two remaining guns down to the stone wall amongst the infantry to wait for that infantry attack.
So he wants to go forward rather than go back.
He was going to show those rebels that all the cannonades in the world, all the iron thrown at him is not going to drive him off this ridge.
The rebel charge was only 100 yards away.
He remarked to the sergeant next to him, "I'll give them one more shot." The gun goes off, and a second later, Cushing is felled by a bullet to the mouth and kills him instantly.
But the Union line held here at this wall. Lee's army fell back, never to threaten the North again.
This is the high water mark of the Confederacy.
And Cushing was here.
Yes, he was. Sacrificed himself for his country.
After all these years, one of Cushing's descendants accepted his Medal of Honor, awarded by America's first black president to a soldier who helped set the slaves on the long march toward freedom. David Martin, CBS News, Gettysburg.
First Lieutenant Alonzo Cushing died for his country during Pickett's charge